409 regular season games, 177 playoff games, 19 playoff appearances, 5 regular season MVP awards, and 7 playoff MVPs, 12 finals appearances, and 7 LCS championships. To say TSM haven't left their legacy on not only the LCS but League of Legends esports as a whole would be an understatement. Countless epic moments have taken place while TSM have been on stage, and while there have been almost 600 total LCS games for this historic franchise, there are 5 games in particular that stand above the rest. So get your TSM chants ready and follow along as we recount some of the greatest moments in TSM history. At number 5, we go back 10 seasons to visit the first recorded pentakill that ended a man's entire career, where TSM takes the Rift against Complexity Gaming in Week 6. Here we see Chaox subbed out due to attitude issues and clashes with Reggie. In his place, we see Wild Turtle starting in his very first LCS game. While historically this game isn't remembered due to winning a title or being an overall important match for the standings, what it did do was pave the way for a TSM legend in Wild Turtle. Prior to this game, his only major experience in the professional scene was playing for Cloud9 in the spring qualifiers, where they wouldn't even qualify due to losing to the Azure Cats. Afterwards, he moved to TSM in the substitute AD carry role. Now with a shot at the main roster, he took full advantage of the situation, locked in Caitlyn, and made history during the game-winning team fight.
He goes for the bandage toss. He doesn't really want to waste too much crowd control on that. Laudamortis takes a bit of damage, but they've got positioning now. They could go for this one. Dyrus is in front.
Dyrus taken very low. Laudamortis still yet to use because the sad moment. There it is. He goes out crescendo, hits the entire Complexity team though. Can they turn it around? Wild Turtle at the back, just hitting one after the other. There's a double kill for him. Laudamortis goes in. That's going to feed him a triple kill. MIA strand. That's going to be a quadra kill. Can he get the pentakill? Brunch you 1-on-1. It's going to be the pentakill for a beautiful play. Wild Turtle stepping up. Chaox, you have something to answer right now because your replacement is doing a fantastic job, and that is the game for Team Solo Mid.
TSM would end up going 3-0 on the weekend, and once they arrived home, Chaox was officially released from TSM and Wild Turtle claimed the starting spot. During his time on TSM, he would participate in 7 splits and win 3 titles as their starter. Moving to number 4, we have one of many meetings with Cloud9 in the playoffs. We're looking specifically at Game 5 of the 2017 Spring Finals. This split could be remembered as the time where Doublelift took a split off, leaving TSM to rely on Wild Turtle again. Cloud9 were favorites in this contest despite TSM being the defending champions. TSM would absolutely stomp Cloud9 in the first 2 games, setting them up to win the LCS in the fastest finals ever. However, Cloud9 was able to claw their way back, forcing a Game 5 in a very special Silver Scrapes. While the first 4 games were one-sided slaughters, Game 5 was anything but. As Jat said it best, they were simply throwing haymakers at each other the entire game. A complete bloodbath, which eventually saw Cloud9 gain a large enough lead which they could win the game with one good fight. Jensen was hard carrying on Echo. He was fed with Echo Ult and Hourglass. TSM did not have an answer for this. Little did they know, the best answer was to just wait for Jensen to make a mistake himself.
Dive back, give it a hold. They kill Jensen! Jensen! Bjarkson gets the kill, and now Ray stunned up across. Still trying to fight around, but he can't get in the fight. Smoothie, far too low, goes down. And they're going to take Elder Dragon as well. Disaster for Cloud9.
Jensen didn't get his Zonias off, didn't get his ultimate off. He goes down in the critical fight.
This crucial error of not ulting or using Hourglass still haunts Jensen's legacy to this day, and TSM would claim back-to-back titles and their 5th overall, while Cloud9's drought would continue and their tradition of losing to TSM in the finals lived on. At number 3, we have the culmination of a legendary series in the 2014 Summer Playoffs, in which we saw TSM finally beat Cloud9 in the playoffs and retake their throne in the LCS. This win was an instant classic for TSM fans, as prior to this, Cloud9 had won their first 2 splits back-to-back without dropping a single game in the playoffs. Due to this, not too many people expected TSM to challenge them at all. However, what we received was an amazing back-and-forth series that saw it go all the way to 5 games. In a nail-biting Game 5, it all came down to one fight to decide who'd go to Worlds as North America's first seed, while also claiming rights to the LCS until 2015.
Able to utilize this big engage. Dyrus just out of range on that. Home guard wears off. Not much damage from the shockwave, but the control TSM needs to reassess the fight. Balls gets hit up. The Glacial Fisher on the backside. They bottleneck into this fight and are going for broke. High goes in, tries to get his ultimate down. Last breath has already been used. Coming up with focus. Wow, Turtle! Turtle on the triple. Turtle on the quadra. Meteos on the outside. A second quadra in the playoffs for Turtle.
And even with
the kills even because the fight was so close to Cloud9's base. This could be the end of the series.
This could be it. Team Solo Mid looking to dethrone Cloud9 as the North American champions.
Crit after crit after crit after crit for Wild Turtle as TSM completely rout Cloud9 to dethrone the Kings and lay claim to the LCS. This series showcased just how much TSM improved over one split and marked the start of Bjergsen's dominance over the LCS. Now at number 2, we're heading to Toronto, Canada for the 2016 Summer Finals, where you guessed it, TSM is playing a Grand Finals against Cloud9. This summer split was to this day the most dominant run from a TSM roster, as they went 17-1 on the season, making them clear favorites for the finals and a rare hope for North America going into Worlds. Despite having a majority of the crowd behind them and all the confidence in the world, TSM were put on the back foot right away as Cloud9 was able to take a 1-0 series lead after a dominant Game 1 victory. Unfazed by one loss, TSM struck back in the next 2 games in convincing fashion to lead the series 2-1 and have a chance to take home their 4th LCS title. Game 4 started out hot, as Jensen and Doublelift were both killed at the 3-minute mark, setting the stage for an electric game. TSM took an early lead, picking off Meteos time after time. Eventually though, Impact would do everything in his power to turn the game in Cloud9's favor, giving them the gold lead as well as the Baron.
Smoothie's injured. They've got to be careful. Double to clean it up. There comes the damage shot, but Smoothie's going to go down. Haunts are staying alive. He throws the Mega R. It's up to Impact. And down is a hero. Down to Bjergsen. And he's going to use the Zonias. Now what's left for him? Jensen gets some. It's an ace for Cloud9.
Impact is a god in this series and this game.
Cloud9 would continue to extend their advantage, pushing TSM to the brink until eventually they caught Bjergsen and Biofrost, giving them a 4-3 fight and a clear win in their eyes. However, as every single LCS fan knows, Doublelift had other plans for this game.
Angel for Meteos, whereas TSM still have 2.
The Weaver's Wall!
Weaver's Wall catches off a couple. Now can they have the follow-up damage? A couple of stuns come in. They've got Bjergsen, and they shut him down with a 1600 damage crit.
Can they get double?
Low. Meteos, another knockup, trades his life, but it's
Double lift!
Gets the GA. Double wall. Kills everybody. They've got 3. Impact goes down. An ace for TSM.
Doublelift turns around the fight, staying alive, so much patience.
But in arguably the greatest individual play in LCS history, Doublelift managed to avoid every single skill shot, turn the fight by calling down every single member of Cloud9, win the fight, the game, and handing TSM their 4th LCS championship. Finally, we've arrived at number 1, where our last destination is the 2014 Summer Semifinals, where TSM takes the rift against LMQ, who not only tied for first in the standings, but swept TSM 4-0 in the regular season. LMQ is a complete powerhouse during the summer split, and were favorites to dispatch TSM and move on to face Cloud9 in the Grand Finals. But as is the story of TSM year after year, you can never count them out in the playoffs no matter what their regular season record was. While in reality it was a very close series, the only game that people remember and the game that still gives people chills to this day is that Game 5. Hearing the roar of the crowd and the TSM chants is absolutely iconic, and in my opinion could be argued as the greatest LCS game of all time.
Ackerman not finding a good engagement here. The Rune Prison goes down. He's going to break it with that crowd control reduction. And bing, bang, boom. The Dyrus comes up big on 1.
I have never seen Dyrus that emotional after a kill. He was so pumped after 1v1ing Ackerman. And that's because you do not see 1v1s happen in the top lane.
Looks like you got a pickle here for Amazing. That's going to chuck him right out. Here's the teleport that Dyrus did not use to get back to lane. Hopefully he can help the team here. They're kind of outnumbered, but now they match it up. Ackerman, he could be going down. He just got back on the rift. No name now in the wrong spot at the wrong time. He gets hit. Bjergsen picks up another one. TSM starts to run amok. Vasily goes down. Killed across the map. Moore trying to do what he can. Wild Turtle, a few more hits to keep himself alive. Drink the potion, man. Drink the potion. Moore gets popped up by a bubble. Wild Turtle stays alive anyways.
And all the credit there goes to Lustboy for flashing in front of the last Braum Q. 6 kills for TSM now in the game, 13 minutes in. Every miniature fight right there, they won.
Across the board. Whoa, Ackerman's taking damage now in that top lane, already blinking red.
Again?
What is this? Dyrus taking over on the top lane. Now in a 2v1. He's going to get the rotation. He's got mid lane. 2 coming in from the mid. Amazing is one of those. No name so hurt. One last ice blast right to the back of the head.
Dyrus Dyrus has taken over this game.
Ridiculous. Zhao Wei Zhao coming out very strong in those matchups versus Bjergsen.